Hey, Jim. I know you need this video today. And the reason I say need is because I procrastinated making this video due to my own conviction. And Sunday, I had a talk with the Lord about something, and I really had to just lay it all out there. And the response I got from God, it shook me and really was like a slap in the face. And what he said was, the fact is that you still don't trust me. Yeah. And so I want to talk about, we've been talking about breaking cycles. And like I said, it was a conviction for me. And so I had to come and talk today about breaking the cycle of not trusting God, of wanting to trust yourself and to trust man over what God has already spoken. And I'm talking about the cycle today of the Israelites when they was adamant about Samuel going to the Lord because they wanted a king. They desired a king. They desired human leadership over the one who knows everything, who had won the battles on their behalf. And they like, Samuel, we tired of you judging us. Give us a king to judge over us. Not knowing that it would be a king that would take their sons into war, that would take their daughters and put them into the palace to work for them. They thought that having human leadership was going to make things better for them. And the Lord was like, give them what they want, but forewarn them. And one of the scriptures that I want to read comes from 1 Samuel 8. And it says that 1 Samuel 8 verse 7. And it says, and the Lord said to Samuel, heed the voice of the people in all they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. And God was like, listen, I gave you what to go speak, Samuel. They're not rejecting what you're saying. They're rejecting me. They don't want me to rule over them. They'd rather have human leadership over them than me. And God said they've been dealing with this ever since I brought them out of Egypt. And I know for me, it was one of those things when I had my abortion, I didn't feel like I had value and I felt disconnected from God. So that disconnection from God sought me to get the validation from people other than man, because I thought God didn't want to hear from me because of my decision that I had made. Even when it came to my dad, I related God to my human relationships as well. Because if my dad didn't want me, then God must not want me either. And so many times our distrust of God comes from the things that we've gone through, because ultimately I don't trust you, God, because you were there when all these bad things were happening to me. So I'm not going to trust you. I'm just going to trust myself. Or because if you're like me and you didn't feel like you were valued or had purpose, you're going to look for that validation and purpose from other people. And you're going to seek the voice of man over what God has to say, because overall, he's the one, the man is here and I can't see God. And because I can't see God, it's easy for me to trust someone else's word over what God says. And that's, our mindset has been like that of the Israelites. And we have to break this cycle of trusting man over God when he's the one that knows all, when he's ever present, when he's the one who has all the wisdom, right? He said in Job, who can give God wisdom? No one can give God wisdom. He's the one that knows everything. So we've been in this cycle of trying to trust ourselves and trust other people over what God has spoken. And we have to break this cycle if we're going to see freedom in our lives. So God said, Samuel, take heed to their voice, but forewarn them, this is what their king is going to do to them. And King Saul came into the picture, and we know everything that Saul did. And you get a chance to read it from 1 Samuel 8, until 1 Samuel 15. and beyond, right? And so they wanted a king to rule over them. And the fact is that our trauma and the things that we've experienced will cause us to trust other people, cause us to trust ourselves rather than to trust God, the one who formed us in our mother's womb before we were even born, who knows the course of our lives. But we choose to trust in someone else than trust in the name of the Lord our God. And so I was very convicted on Sunday because, dang, like when you say, God, search my heart, He's really going to search your heart and expose those things that are still in your heart. And the fact is that I hadn't trusted God with the assignment. I haven't trusted God with the business. I haven't trusted God with my marriage. I haven't trusted God with my children. Right? And so, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm just talking in general. But I really had to come and surrender this thing before God and repent and say, God, I have sinned against you because I did not trust you. And I even had to take this to my therapist because I was like, why am I doing X, Y, and Z? And she was like, you don't trust him. And he told me that. The fact is, you don't trust me. And so my question to you is, do you trust God enough that where you can surrender the thing that you've been, that pain? Can you surrender your trauma? Can you surrender the things that have happened to you in your life? Can you surrender that to him and trust him with every fiber of your being instead of wanting to rule according to how you want things done and what man has to say? Because when we trust in man, man will disappoint us. When we trust in ourselves, we're going to fail. We're going to control things and we're not going to allow ourselves to really experience the goodness of God when we're trying to be in control of things. God knows the best things that are for us. And so I really had to do this video because we're stuck in a cycle of we're waiting, for the next post to give us our confirmation. We're waiting for the next prophet to give a word. We're waiting when you have direct access to God. God is speaking, but the thing is, we're not really listening. And of course, we don't want the true answer. We want the answer that's going to fit our need or fit the want of what we have instead of going to God and trust what God says because we know he's going to give us truth. And when you're in positions, or you're in this life of where you have trauma and when you have pain, you don't trust that. Because I've already suffered enough. How much more do I need to suffer? So I don't want to hear this thing if it's going to require me to give something of myself when I've already done that before. And so we really have to get to this point of really, truly trusting God and being committed to hearing his voice and really being committed to the things that he has to say. And so I really wanted to do this video because we are living in a time of where technology is giving us our answers instead of us going to seek God for the answers that we need. If the things that you desire in your heart, you're going to have to go to God to get the answers for those things. You're going to have to go to God to get the healing. You're going to have to go to God, what counselor, what therapist am I going to need to see? What man or woman should I marry? What should I do with my kids? What should I do in this marriage? What should I do in this business? We're going to have to trust in the name of God. We're going to have to trust God's voice. Yes, we may have gotten it wrong, but thank God for the grace of God. And so I'm not just talking to you. This is, for me as well, because it was a eye opener for me, a rude awakening that even though I say I trust God in my heart, I still don't. And I had to repent, of that. And so we can't continue to have this Israelite mindset, this wilderness mindset that God can't fulfill the thing that he has promised. We're going to have to either trust God or trust God. Trust God or trust the world. The world is going to disappoint you. The world is going to let you down, but not God. He's a man of his word. He's not a man that he shall lie, nor a son of man that he shall repent. God is God. He cannot lie and he cannot fail. So I hope that this message encourages you, on today. As it did me, because I really had to go and look at the posture of my heart and really say, Latoya, you really don't trust God. And now is the time to be putting your trust in God and not man and not the world. And so, I am D. Latoya Matthews, your Freedom Ambassador, and I pray that this word touched some part of you today, and I pray that you share it out with someone. And I really am on a mission to make sure that you be free, live free, and stay free. And so share this message with someone that you think needs to hear it, and I pray that you join me again next week. Be blessed.